Well, it's here. It is playoff weekend. The Chiefs have some things going on because they're not on the field. We're going to cover all that today. This is going to be a fun show as we preview Wildcard weekend on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. It is not Red Friday, but it's a Friday where you can watch some other teams get in the action. We're brought to you today by BetOnline. They've got you covered for all the props, odds, and lines that you need. It's BetOnline where the game starts. And where the game starts and ends for the Kansas City Chiefs is not this weekend. A lot of opponents are going to be in this mix. And obviously, the determination of the Chiefs' opponent will come this weekend, but there's a few things going on around Kansas City and with Kansas City. In the meantime, we're going to get into all that. Thanks for making us your first listen. Why don't you check out the NFL Draft Show for your second listen today? We would appreciate it. And there's a lot going on. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics. NFL 33, where you can get all of my draft rankings and all the content that you want for the draft, as well as RGR football.
Yeah, you have your hand in just a little bit of everything, don't you? And I'm Chris Clark. Thank you all for listening. We do appreciate it. Go hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell on YouTube. Send us your Spotify or iTunes reviews. We do appreciate those as well. A lot to talk about because you're right. Kansas City isn't playing this week, but there has been some stuff going on. The NFL did announce where the Chiefs and Bills would play if they both make it to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, and what it is the Mercedes-Benz Field there in Atlanta. I am a little surprised by that. I thought if they were going to make it equitable and they were worried about keeping it, with the theme of what it is, both Kansas City and Buffalo are outdoor stadiums. So I didn't think that it had to go into a dome. What did you think?
I'm kind of surprised by them going to a dome, but I get it too because what does the NFL want to sell? They want to sell offense. They want to sell points. You're going to score more points in a dome more than likely than you are going to in Kansas City or Buffalo or a place like it this time of year.
Okay, fine. If you say so. I mean, that's got to be the thinking. Reproducible. Let the turf speak for itself and just light it up. But hey, well, at least they have a determination.
Somebody said, I don't remember who said this on Twitter, but Atlanta's 800 miles from Kansas City, 900 miles from Buffalo. So pretty equidistant.
Yeah. I mean, it's a long road trip for either of them. I mean, couldn't we have seen this in Cleveland or something? I mean, come on.
Again, they wanted it out. They wanted indoor. And I will say this, though. When you start looking at what this is going to mean, I don't know that, in all honesty, I don't know that it's a bad thing if Mahomes plays the AFC Championship game away from Arrowhead. I hate saying it, but he plays better away sometimes than he does at home.
They have been pretty good on the road this year, and so I can understand where you're coming from. At the same time, I mean, hey, I don't know what the future holds. We're going to see a lot of good games this weekend. One of them will determine who's going to be playing Kansas City, and obviously where that will be down the line. But it's about, that's what I'm going with for right now. It's playoff football. Let's hope anyway. But there are some things going on with Kansas City right now as well this particular week. A lot of fan votes out there. There's a couple of player votes lists that are there, like the All-Pro list. Very interesting. Chiefs got a few guys onto the player voted All-Pro. Not the official yet. Associated Press is going to be with all the writers and everything that do the voting as well. But what's your take on early returns for the Chiefs?
Kind of surprised. Tommy Townsend is on that list. He's getting
for both punts that he threw this week.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is like he doesn't punt much, but he's on the list for what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, you can't fault him for what he does with the few opportunities that he gets. So, kudos to him. And in Kansas City, there's obviously a lot of talk about the holds and the things that he isn't kicking, but I think this was earned for what he does in the actual punting aspect of his job.
His hang time's been phenomenal, and that is something that really can make or break a difference in the playoffs. And if he continues to be as consistent as he's been this year, they're going to be in good shape if they have to punt in the playoffs.
Yeah. Now, there's more accolades to come. I'll see what changes when the media has chimed in, and so the players only get part of the votes for the All-Pro, just like fans only get part of the vote for Pro Bowls. So it all comes together, and it is balanced out, I think, a little bit by that, but we could see some changes. We could see some additions. A little bit of other news around what stuck out to you.
Well, it sounds like Patrick Mahomes has won the Walter Payton Man of the Year, at least the fan vote portion of it. So he'll get $25,000 to his charity. That's great for Kansas City. That's great for Mahomes. Fans, congratulations. Good job on getting him voted in. You look at the rest of it. Obviously, the NFL playoffs are going to be the big thing to talk about this weekend. A lot of questions as to who Kansas City could play. I don't think it's really that big of a question, to be quite honest.
You think the Jaguars roll? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think the Jaguars roll. I wish I could feel that way, but when you start looking at Skylar Thompson versus the Bills, that makes that pretty easy to figure out. Lamar Jackson still isn't going to be playing. That makes that pretty easy to figure out, you would think. So it's going to come down to that 4-5 matchup to see who Kansas City plays, and I'm guessing it's going to be the Chargers, but we'll see.
We're going to talk about all those matchups here later in the show. First, a little bit more information. I don't think at this point in the season we're prepared to talk about the running back earning accolades that wasn't going to be either Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Isaiah Pacheco. But your AFC Player of the Month is one Jet McKinnon, and I find that just really satisfying for a guy that has put in all the injury time, all the back and forth. I mean, he wasn't even on the roster when camp opened this year. I'm sorry. Like, what does that tell you about how far he's come and how important is he to this offense here in the next month?
Honestly, I don't know that it tells you how far he's come. I think that what you look at is Kansas City knows how to use him. They know how to get the best out of him, and he is taking advantage of all the chances he's gotten, and that's kudos to him. Congratulations to him. He's doing exactly what they are paying him to do. Obviously, he's doing a lot more than we expected that he probably could, but it's a good issue for Kansas City.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think it shows that he's come at least a few steps in keeping his body healthy, doing the extra things to make sure that he's available, because in the end, availability is what gets the job done. Now, we do need to talk about all of these matchups. So first, a message from our friends over at LinkedIn Jobs. It doesn't matter if you're a small business owner like me who needs graphic designers and writers and editors, etc., or if you're trying to do something in your field, LinkedIn Jobs can hire you qualified candidates by efficiently matching you with open roles and the people that have skills, values, and experiences to achieve your goals. LinkedIn Jobs help you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs, and with their custom targeting tools. They go beyond the resume data and using insights not only from your job post, but from the company, as well as 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. And while you're applying those, you might as well apply a little discount over from our friends at Built Bar. If you're looking for a delicious treat with actually good macros, low calories, and low fat, you got to try the Built Bars. That's just the way it is. A lot of folks give us feedback, positive and negative. I will say this, they are available retail at your local Walmart and Sam's Club now. I still like ordering from the company. I think that's the best way to do it. Right now, they have some custom boxes you can order for a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, coconut puffs. I think the puffs you're really going to like because they're way lighter, and their marshmallowy texture, I think, goes really well in the wintertime here. So they're unbelievable. And you get flavors like churro and coconut almond. And, a lot of my favorites are in here. So if you're at Sam's Club, you can go grab a 13-bar box, and you can always order online at BuiltBar.com. Check them out. Our friends at Built Bar do a great job with great protein bars. Now, what we want to see is great matchups come the Wildcard division. And I think we should start just right at the top, because the game most likely to produce the Chiefs' next opponent is that 4-5 matchup that you were talking about. And I have trouble because there was an outcome a few weeks ago for these two teams, that really kind of led me down the road of thinking that this is a tighter match up than I thought it was. Where do you stand on it?
I think it could be a tighter matchup. I just think that the Chargers are playing better than they've been playing. The question is, are people going to be healthy? Or are they going to be able to play? If Mike Williams plays, I think that really changes their offense and gives them the ability to put up some more points. But the Jaguars aren't a pushover team. I think that they're a better team than most people thought that they would be this season.
Now it's funny when you say not a pushover team. This is a team that, what was the date on that? I can't remember. I want to say it was 4 weeks ago. It was less than that. It was week 16. Jacksonville Jaguars spanked the Chargers 38-10. Now, Mike Williams was not involved in that, and we know that he might not be involved in this game. We'll see what happens. But is that a fluke? Is that something that you can still like base your evaluation of this team on, or are you just feeling like since then have risen their level and they shouldn't be able to be that close with the Jags?
Well, I think the bigger key here for me is if Mike Williams plays, that changes their offense. Bosa wasn't playing the last time around. He should be playing this time around.
Right.
The Chargers defense should be better. I'm not saying that the Jaguars can't beat the Chargers. I'm not going to say that at all. Justin Herbert and Lawrence have the same amount of playoff experience. So in that, we'll see. I mean, things are going to get faster. Things are going to get tougher and harder. We'll see who's able to stand up and take the pressure. Herbert has a lot of critics to silence, and the Chargers have a lot of critics to silence. And quite honestly, the biggest person that has the most critics to silence is probably Staley. And it's because how long has it taken him, one, to get to the playoffs, but two, playing all the players last week when he could have set them?
There is legitimate criticism, and he spoke up today. As of an hour ago, Mike Williams is listed as questionable for it's the Saturday kickoff, right? Yes,
yeah, I believe so. He didn't practice all week
at all. That's
right.
a sign. And I think my favorite quote was, it's not the reps that are important. Really, Brandon? Because last I checked, that's all that's important, because the guy hasn't had many reps this season. I find that a really interesting quote to throw out here. And by the way, folks, we're going to be live over on the RGR football channel to simulcast this game. You can hear our commentary live. It'll be me, Dan Harms. Chris is going to join us at times. I think Matt Derrick's going to make it. A lot of our other contributors over on RGR, so make sure you join us. We'll be simulcasting our reaction of that game at the same time. And Brandon Staley's going to get a lot of it, right? And I know you've been particularly on him about some of the decision-making and how that has led to the situation they're in, particularly last week. But is it doing a disservice to Mike Williams to rest him all week and then try to force him back into this game, even though he is listed as questionable?
I think it's a disservice to the player. I think that they need to have reps. They need to have some kind of, I mean, they're NFL players, so you would hope that he would know the offense, he would know the plays, obviously. So I guess that if you want to look at it from that perspective, I guess. But I think reality is I don't think Mike Williams is playing. I think this is a PR stunt in a way.
Try to keep.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Williams plays, but considering he had to be carted to the locker room and carted to the bus, that says a lot about where he was. And if he does play, is he going to be able to make it through the entire game?
I agree completely, because that's the concern. And quite frankly, it was Jacksonville's defense that won it for him last week. So they're going to be keyed up. It's not like they're facing a defense that can't really fight back. This is going to be pretty tough. In the end, I think it's a deep, but I can't say it's going to be the prime time one. What do you think happens in it?
I've muted myself because I still have this cough. I apologize, everybody. I still think the Chargers win. I do think that I trust Herbert more than I trust Lawrence. I like Lawrence. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. But I trust Herbert more than I trust Lawrence. But he's got a lot to prove too. So this is going to be an interesting game. You have a coach that hasn't been there when you're starting to talk about, Staley, and then you have a coach that has won a Super Bowl on the other side. So how is that going to play into this?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm going to take the opposite just to be different. Without Mike Williams, and I agree with you, I don't think that he plays, and with a banged up Bosa, I'm not sure there's enough there to keep the Jags from getting the better of them. So I think it will be close. I think it's going to be a great game to watch, but I'm going to take the Jags in this one. Now that leaves two other games, obviously, with the 2 and 3 seeds. We're going to cover those on the backside of this.
And I want to tell you about our friends over at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football to college bowl season to basketball and World Cup. We've got it all at BetOnline.net. If you love sports podcasts, you can even find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Where the game starts is at the quarterback position, and the Sunday afternoon game is Bills versus Dolphins. There is no Tua in this ball game. The Dolphins will be starting Skylar Thompson. Brock Purdy has been really, really good for the Niners. Skylar Thompson came in midseason with some relief and actually performed decently, but you're talking about a third-string quarterback trying to win a playoff game. I got to give, of the two of them, it's got to be Purdy that has the better chance of pulling that off, isn't it?
Yeah, I would think. He's got a better team. Sorry, my throat is killing me. I apologize.
I don't blame you, man. That's the way that it goes. When you get sick, it's hard to shake it.
Yeah, and
every day,
and it is just sticking, and I cannot get rid of it. I do think Purdy is probably going to be in a better position. He's got a better team around him. The 49ers have a very good offense, and their defense is pretty good as well. So I do think that Purdy's going to be in a good position this weekend.
I agree. I think the quarterback isn't the end of it. Tyreek was a little banged up last week. I think that hurts the Dolphins' chances that much more. I think that the Buffalo Bills go into this game with a lot of emotion that they can pull from now with Damar Hamlin's recovery. I think that's a lift that maybe they need. We've seen them come up short, obviously, against the Chiefs in the playoffs before. I don't think this happens to them. I'm going to take the Bills by at least a 2-touchdown margin.
Yeah, I would say, and considering Tua's not going to play in this game, Skylar Thompson's a starting quarterback. I mean, you're looking at an offense that probably isn't going to be able to put up points, and that would be if the Bills' defense was bad. I think that the Bills' defense is a very good defense, so you're going to have struggles there, even there. And I think you're right. Damar Hamlin, I would expect, actually plays a part in this game. I'm not saying he plays in the game, but I bet he's at the stadium. I bet he's maybe comes out onto the field. I don't know, but I bet they have him involved in this in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that could be. He's completed tests. He's been discharged from the hospital in Buffalo. He is at home, literally. So,
and he's recovering with the Bills, so they know exactly where he is. So,
yeah. And so I think he may be even make it to the stadium. That's a great point. At the end of the day, I think it's going to be Bills roll. Mafia gets back on track. Now, the other ball game is not quite so simple, except for late this afternoon, we did find out that Lamar Jackson isn't going to play. That knee is still bothering him. He even took to social media to kind of explain himself. I don't know if that was necessary, but he's a guy in a contract negotiating. He's representing himself. He wants the fan base on his side, but his inability to play in this ball game sets them back in much the same way that, if not 10 times more than Tua's absence from the other ball game. Given that, and against the Bengals, yes, it was an 11-point game last week, but without Lamar, I don't see it getting any tighter. Do you?
No, I can't see this game is going to be any tighter. I think that the Ravens are going to try to do whatever they can to come out and try to be successful and try to win a game, obviously, but I don't see how they're going to be able to beat a Bengals team that is pretty much healthy at this point and probably going to be really ready to show out, considering everything that has gone on over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I agree. And scores are always a little bit tough with those kind of interdivision, familiarity, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say 24-10 Bengals.
Look at you going out on a big limb with a 2-score win. I do think it's going to be probably a 2-score game. I think the Bengals could put up more than that, though. I would not be shocked if they put up 30 points against the Ravens. Ravens got a great defense, but I think the Bengals are going to be trying to make a statement because they are going to probably have to face the Bills the next week, and they're going to be wanting to send a statement for that.
Yeah, they are. That leaves us a couple other games. We got to keep one corner of our eye out on the NFC too, because that's what's progressing. Now, we talked about Purdy. Do you have a feeling for number 2 San Francisco against the 7 Seahawks?
You would think that with the offense that Purdy has and what he's able to do, I've been very impressed with what he's able to do as a rookie QB. But at the same time, Seattle is going to be going in there, and they played San Francisco multiple times this season. They know what they're getting themselves into. It's another interdivisional game, so that is going to play into it. I still think San Francisco is the better team overall, and that's probably all that matters. I think that Geno Smith is a better QB than Brock Purdy, but I don't think that that's going to be enough in this game.
Yeah, it looks like Lockett might miss. Makes it a little bit difficult to field your best team at this point. We'll see what happens with him. I don't have an injury designation on Tyler Lockett right now, but that will definitely be a factor in the outcome of that one. So we will both take San Francisco there. The other two I think are a little bit tighter. Minnesota, number 3 versus the Giants. Not much to be saying here, except for the Giants have been in playoff mode for a couple of weeks. And I think that gives them a slight edge. I'm not impressed with the offense and the consistency or lack thereof in Minnesota. So I'm going to pick the upset here. I'm going to take the Giants 27, Vikings 24. What do you got?
I think I have to take the Vikings, and it's mainly because I trust Kirk Cousins more than I probably should. But it's not just Kirk Cousins; it's also Justin Jefferson. They have good offensive pieces. I think that's going to play into it. I don't trust Daniel Jones. I think that what Dable has been able to do with him so far this season, or what he's been able to do this year, has been great. But he's still not. I don't think he's better than Kirk Cousins, and I do think that this game is going to come down to who can move their team up and down the field and score points the most. Obviously, that's football, but I don't think the defenses are going to be as big of a deal this week as they could be in the future.
I like it. The last and maybe most intriguing is the number 5 Cowboys and the number 4 Tampa Bay Bucks. Even though the Bucks were clearly the poorer team, they obviously had the division win. I have a tendency to think that this should be the quote unquote upset. The Dallas Cowboys are the better team overall, but you push the GOAT into a corner, and I hate calling him that, but the truth's the truth. Do you think he comes out swinging? You think he's got another upset, at least in my mind, on his plate? The Bucks do this?
I guarantee he comes out swinging. Now, whether or not it's going to be enough to actually be able to get this job done, I don't know. I do think that the interesting thing is if McCarthy loses this game and the Cowboys go on to lose against the Bucks, McCarthy could be out of a job the day after he loses the game.
Yep.
And he could be out of a job even if they don't make it to the NFC Championship game if they win this week.
Sean Payton's out there stomping around. He could be out of a job either way, win, lose, or draw. So there is literally YOLO games in our future from Mike McCarthy. I personally am going to say that helps them push through. I'm going to take the Cowboys by 3.
Yeah, and I get it. I think I'm going to take Tampa Bay.
Okay.
I don't trust Dak in that offense in Dallas until they can show they're consistent enough and not throw stupid picks. I think I'll take Tampa Bay in this one.
That's the key to it. And again, folks, we're going to be live streaming on Saturday night on rgrfootball.com. That'll get you to the YouTube channel. Chris will be joining us so we can watch this Chargers game.
I have one other thing I want to ask you really quick, and this is just something that I saw on Twitter, and I thought it was interesting. I don't know what site it was out there, but one of the betting sites out there has the Chiefs as the lead team to be trading for DeAndre Hopkins next year after the season's over.
I don't know that they have to trade for him. I took a look at Hop's contract. He's like 30 mil, like 21 in savings. I don't know that they have to trade for him. I think it's a courtship. I think he may just get simply released because they got to get him off of their books. And I don't know if there's anybody who's going to trade for that contract. So then it becomes courting Nuke to come to Kansas City and be the guy across from Juju and obviously Sky. And we'll see who else is back. Kadarius, you got to think. But I have a question for you. Nuke's nearly 31 now. He'll push it at near 32 by the end of next season. Do you think that they can afford to either trade or pursue him in free agency?
Trading is going to be tough because of his age and because of the year he had this year. Yeah. I think that if you are going to sign him, then you have to sign him and you have to give him a highly incentivized deal, much like you did Juju. Mm-hmm. And you said bring back Juju, and I would love to bring back Juju. I'm not so sure he's going to be here next year, especially if they go out and get Hopkins.
Oh, no, I cannot. No,
it's going to be expensive. That's the problem. I'm not saying I don't want him here. I do. I would like Juju to be back in Kansas City with Sky Moore, with Kadarius Toney, with those guys. I think that would be great to see, but it's going to be expensive. So how that gets played, how that works out, we'll have to see. I just was curious if you thought that the Chiefs would be interested in DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I find it interesting. If there's rumor out there and then somebody's got it in their head that that's a reality, I find it hard to think so in trade, but after that, hey, no holds barred as far as I can say. There is the argument to be made that Hop is no longer a one. I disagree with that. I still think he's one of the top 3 receivers in this league, maybe for one more season, and then he'll slide down to the second tier level.
But even if he's not a one, does that matter on this team?
Not necessarily. This is one of the few teams where it doesn't matter, but I don't know if the salary is going to match what the reality on the field is.
Well, but if he wants to come to Kansas City and play with Patrick Mahomes, he's going to have to take whatever salary they're going to offer. And I don't expect it's going to be $20 million a year, at least up front, $20 million a year. Maybe it'll be $20 million a year if you hit incentives. But Kansas City would happily pay that if he hits the incentives that they put in there for him. So we'll see. I don't know. And quite honestly, this is almost a perfect situation. And I'd have to go look at the numbers, and I haven't. But this is almost another Juju type situation where Hopkins had a down year. You could do some relatively low, not likely to be earned incentives that would only kick in if he hit them and would hit the next year's cap. So that's also an option. But this offense with Kelce and Juju and Hopkins would be a lot of fun.
I have to agree. I like that concept. Let's see what happens, folks. What do you think? Is Nuke on the table? Who wins these wild card games? Who are you looking for to step forward and really make their presence known? We'd like to know your opinion down in the comments here on YouTube. And like, sub, and hit the bell if you are not already. But also in your comments on the reviews on Spotify and Apple. We would appreciate that too. Hope you're ready. This is going to be a fun weekend. You can relax, just watch ball and not be too invested into it. But again, try to join us on RGR Football if you'd like, because we're going to be doing it live on Saturday. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you then. Have a good one.